What's going on, everyone? Mr. Octagonal here. Now today we are back with the MLB The Show 19 rebuilds, and today we're going to be rebuilding the Minnesota Twins. Before we start, I mentioned this in the Diamondbacks video yesterday. I'll mention it again today. Twitter link in the description. Make sure to go follow me. Anyway, so this Twins team is very weird because in real life they've been very good. One of the best teams in baseball. However, for MLB The Show terms, their best player is an 86 and Eddie Rosario, who's a great player in real life, but this team definitely has some work to do if we want to be that top of the crop or continue to play how they've played in real life. So looking for rotation, got a building block in Jose Barrios, Cole Stewart, the other young guys down there. Jake Odorizzi's interesting. He's having a hell of a season, but 29 C potential, probably going to trade him. Bullpen, there are a few talented players. Catcher, we got Williams Astudillo, the thick boy. And really, there aren't too many building blocks on this team. Jonathan Scope's a solid guy, so is Miguel Sano. Shortstop, we got Jorge Polanco, who was the starter for the All-Star team this year, so he's pretty good. Royce Lewis down there as well, #1 pick in the 2017 draft, so maybe he's a guy we can look to build around. Obviously, as I mentioned, Eddie Rosario, phenomenal player. Definitely a guy who I'd like to build around. Byron Buxton as well, really picking it up in real life after a slow start to his career. And then Max Kepler, I feel like, should be higher than a 78. He's having a pretty nice season, so yeah. On to the moves. First things first, we're going to be trading Thick Boy Williams along with Nelson Cruz and Alex Kirkloff to the White Sox for Eloy Jimenez, as Eli's a great player to build around. I've gotten him in the past, and he usually develops well. Another player who develops pretty well is Franmil Reyes. Definitely has one heck of a bat, can hit that ball a mile away. And Miguel Sano was part of that trade to get Franmil Reyes. I want to build around Miguel Sano, so we got him back. Trading Odorizzi and a few prospects. Mitch Garver, Gabriel Moya, and Trevor May will get us Dustin May. I don't know if those two are related. From the Dodgers, a potential pitching prospect. As next up, getting another a potential pitching prospect in Hunter Green, the second overall pick after Royce Lewis in 2017 from the Cincinnati Reds. So we got the top two picks from that draft. And then we're going to get Kyle Crick from the Pittsburgh Pirates for a few prospects. Crick is a very solid 26-year-old relief pitcher, B potential 81 overall, so that's more of a win-now move. And then getting another really good reliever, Jose Leclerc, in exchange for Martin Perez, Max Kepler, and Adalberto Mejia. Three talented players, but I think it's worth it getting Leclerc, who can be a really good player. And then I kind of wanted to trade away C.J. Cron just because he's 29. Even though he's having a really good year in real life, I wouldn't mind getting a young piece for him. So we're getting M.J. Melendez from the Kansas City Royals, and then Marwin Gonzalez will get his Aroydis Vizcaíno, and Noelvi Marte from the Seattle Mariners, just trying to trade his contract away, getting a good reliever in Vizcaíno who I like, and then a B potential 18-year-old prospect. So looking at the lineup, we have plenty of building blocks, and I think this is a pretty good team already. And sometimes we have solid teams right out the gate, sometimes we have bad teams right out the gate. At least the lineup is really good. Pitching rotation, got a few talented players. Barrios, Fernando Romero, Cole Stewart. And then the bullpen has some guys as well. Taylor Rogers, Jose Leclerc, Vizcaíno, Kyle Crick. So this is a pretty solid team. So pretty big trade alert. Wander Franco and some other guys to go into the Blue Jays for Vlad Guerrero Jr. That's a nice trade for Tampa, at least in the game, even though I love me some Wander Franco. So we finished 85 and 77, not good enough to make the playoffs. Had a really hot start, and then fizzled out after that, and then the Dodgers beat the Red Sox in the World Series. So looking at the stats on this season, Jorge Polanco had a pretty nice year. Franmil Reyes, I'll gladly take that. Eddie Rosario, beasted and feasted. Eloy Jimenez, 33 dingers, 314 batting average. Eloy was insane. Then pitching, Jose Barrios, over a 5 ERA, that's not great. Michael Pineda actually had a really good year, but he's older, not a guy we're building around. Want to see more from the young guys like Jose Barrios. Bullpen wasn't too bad. Vizcaíno's, the closer was pretty good. So looking at free agency, Anthony Rendon usually isn't in free agency, and he is this time. So you guys know the drill, free agency. Got to sign all the top guys and trade them. Starting with Anthony Rendon, picking him up from the Washington Nationals on a big contract, and he's immediately being traded to the Braves along with Avisail Garcia, who he signed, and Jonathan Scope, who he traded last year and then signed for Ozzie Albies and another prospect, one of the best young players in all of baseball. And then Mike Moustakas, who he signed, along with 2 prospects. We'll get his Domingo Germán from the Angels. He plays for the Yankees in real life, but he was just acquired by the Angels here. And then Shelby Miller, who I signed, Jose Abreu, who I signed, and Didi Gregorius, who I signed. We'll get his Brandon Lau from the Tampa Bay Rays. That's how you say his last name. So basically getting Brandon Lau for 3. And then a few prospects. We'll get his Richard Rodriguez, a talented relief pitcher from the Pittsburgh Pirates. So stealing another relief pitcher from them. Now into Rule 5 draft, you know the drill, just like free agency, get the top guys and trade them all. Starting with Willie Calhoun, he's always in here. Hasn't really lived up to expectations in real life. Hunter Harvey next up. Welcome aboard to the team. And then sometimes Ryan Baroque is in here. He's a solid pitcher. Maybe we build around him, maybe we don't. 26, 76p is not too bad. So the 2 A potential guys we got in Rule 5 draft, Hunter Harvey and Willie Calhoun, will get his Gavin Lux and Keibert Ruiz, 2 other A potential prospects, but they are multiple years younger than those 2 guys. And then Gavin Lux, we're immediately going to be trading him along with Tyler J. and Michael Pineda to the Baltimore Orioles to get Trey Mancini, really solid outfielder. One of the Orioles' only good players. And then Miguel Sano, he didn't really play that well last year, along with a couple other guys. We'll get his Derek Rodriguez, really solid pitcher from the Giants. So looking at the rotation, or looking at the lineup, sorry, we got a really, really nice lineup. 1 to 8 is all building blocks. We'll probably need a new catcher long term. And then the rotation, we have 5 really talented young pitchers. Hopefully Jose Barrios can have a bounce back here. And then the bullpen looks nice as well. So this is a team that has a legit chance to contend in the playoffs. I don't know if we're World Series contenders, but we're a good team. And we end up winning 90 games, taking on the LA Angels in the divisional series. But first things first, looking at the stats, Eloy with another incredible season. He has been great in this rebuild. Framil Reyes played really well. Not a great season from Eddie Rosario, however. Trey Mancini played well. And then Ozzie Albies was pretty good. Byron Buxton certainly improved from last year in the rotation. D-Rod was great. Barrios was certainly better. German, not totally awful. Baroque was decent, and then Cole Stewart was pretty good as well. And then looking at the bullpen, it was pretty solid. Everybody with an ERA between 2 and 4, which is good to see. Taking on the Angels here in the first round, we beat up on Shohei Ohtani, the meme of the sim, and then we get Jose Leclerc back, and then we sweep them as Tyler Skaggs actually gets the loss in that game. Rest in peace to Skaggs. Of course, we just did his rebuild, which was the last MLB Show rebuild. Now taking on the Tampa Bay Rays, Series 2-1, now 3-1. Hopefully we don't blow it, and we don't. Then in the World Series, we will be taking on the big, bad Los Angeles Dodgers as we lose Game 1 and Game 2, so it's not looking good for us. And Game 3, but look at this. Will the Dodgers choke a 3-0 lead? Series tied at 3, goes to a Game 7, and we lose. That's unfortunate. So we almost came back from a 3-0 lead, actually, but we were unable to. So on to free agency, usual suspects. We always see Mookie Betts in here in the Season 2 free agency, and you guys know the drill. So look at this. We're offering Kirby Yates, and he wants to go to a contender. Were we not 1 win away from winning the World Series? How are we not a contender? And we didn't even sign Kirby Yates, which is so sad. We do sign Mookie Betts, so thank goodness. But Kirby Yates signs with the Mets for a much smaller and cheaper contract, only because the Mets were contenders. They won 91 games last year. We won 90, and they didn't make the World Series, which is strange. We also signed DJ LeMahieu, and then we're trading a few D potential prospects for Pablo Valdez, who is a potential. Right when you get drafted in this game, you have no value. I don't know why. I was just trying to clear up roster spots, but getting an A potential prospect, why not? And we'll leave a show for you. And then Mookie Betts along with Hunter Green and a scrub. We'll get his Vlad Jr. from the Rays. Vlad is insane in this game in simulation, so I think that's a good pickup for us. DJ LeMahieu, Jorge Polanco, and Shane Justice, who's a decent prospect. We'll get his Yes Money Grandal from the Brewers. We want a good catcher, and Grandal is one of the best catchers in this game. He is pricey, but he is really good. And then 2 guys we signed, Michael Brantley and David Peralta, along with Keibert Ruiz. We'll get us Luis Severino from the Yankees. Get us a legit star pitcher. And then 2 guys we signed, and Hyunjin Ryu and Martin Perez, along with Dustin May, will get us, who was that? Josh Hader, that's who we got from the Brewers. And then Ryan Baroque will get his 2 potential prospects. We don't really need him anymore since we got Severino, so I think that's a pretty solid deal for us. Now, I believe that was the final trade we made. Yes, on to season number 3. This lineup is stacked. 1-9, got a bunch of phenomenal players in the rotation as well. We also signed Tyler Skaggs. He was in free agency, so I figured, why not pick him up? Rest in peace once again to Skaggs. In the bullpen, we added Josh Hader, one of the best relief pitchers in all of baseball. So we end up winning 96 games. We don't even win the division. That makes us a wild card somehow, someway. Looking at the stats, Albie's a little bit disappointing. Lau was good. Vlad Jr. did his thing. Franmil Reyes had a great year. Eloy, again, dominated. Eddie Rosario played well. Grandal hit .347. Not as great of a year from those other two guys, Mancini and Buxton. And then the rotation, Severino with an excellent year. D-Rod was not too great. Barrios was pretty good. So was Domingo Germán and Tyler Skaggs. And then the bullpen, not as great as last year. This Cayeno had a great season. But Tyler Crick was not very good, and then Hader didn't quite live up to expectations. So, would we end up winning the wild card game? We sure would, and we're going to be taking on the Oakland A's in the divisional series. I guess they had a better record than us, but that wouldn't matter, as we would have put up 14 runs in Game 1, and we end up sweeping them. And then in the next round, we're going to be taking on the Boston Red Sox, as we allow 13 in Game 1, but we win Game 2 on the road. Then we lose Game 3 and Game 4. Time to come back from a 3-1 lead, boys. Now tied at 3, and we lose once again in Game 7. That is a stinger. So, free agency, Season 3 is always stacked. We're going out, and after Francisco Lindor, Chris Bryant, Noah Syndergaard, and JD Martinez, we would end up signing Chris Bryant. We would end up signing Noah Syndergaard. We would end up signing Francisco Lindor. And then to complete the hat trick, we get JD Martinez. I don't know how we have enough money. It's just the art of backloading contracts. That's how I do it. So we have absolutely no money. So I do want to get ourselves a pitcher. So we don't really need Trey Mancini anymore. Him alone with Royce Lewis. And I think Kyle Crick was in that deal. If I'm not mistaken, we're going to get Walker Buehler from the Dodgers. And then D-Rod, Cole Stewart, and Eddie Rosario will get us Andrew Benintendi from the Red Sox. Don't need those pitchers. And then getting an upgrade in the outfield. And then Byron Buxton straight up for Jordan Hicks. We don't need Buxton. Doesn't hurt to get another relief pitcher. And Jordan Hicks is like a 99 at this point. Last year, his ERA was like .07 or 0.7, not .07. That would be too crazy. And then we also don't need Brandon Lau, getting some pieces from the Nationals, including Sean Doolittle, who is a really solid closer. So this lineup is absolutely stacked. Chris Bryant is hitting at the 8 hole. That's when you know it's good. And then the rotation looks insane as well, adding Buehler and Syndergaard. And then the bullpen as well looks nice. We didn't trade Tyler Crick. I thought we did for some reason. So we're in like June. We're playing good ball. And Noah Syndergaard with a head fracture, pretty much ending his season. So we need to get a new pitcher. So for cap purposes, we have to throw in Sean Doolittle. And we're going to be getting Chris Paddock from the San Diego Padres, who's almost as good. And then we need a new reliever, so Bruce Gatorol, who's an A potential prospect, will get us a really good relief pitcher from the Phillies. I think he's an auto-generated player. So we end up winning 106 games, taking on the Oakland A's in the divisional round. Taking a look at the standings, we weren't even the best team in the baseball or the conference. Tampa Bay also had 106 wins. So looking at the stats, Benintendi was pretty good. Albies was as well. Guerrero with a nice year. Same with JD. Eloy with his worst season in the rebuild, but he was still good. Chris Bryant hitting over 300. Or I think he had exactly 300, actually. So no one in the lineup went absolutely crazy, but they all still played well in the rotation. Everybody played pretty well. Germán, not outstanding, but we'll take it. And then the middle relievers were all awful. None of them had ERAs lower than 4, but Kyle Crick had a big year. Same with Jordan Hicks. So, taking on the A's here, we put up 14 in Game 1 against Sean Manaea. We put up 11 in Game 2. And then Game 3, we actually get the L, making it 2-1, but luckily we win. Taking on the Houston Astros in the ALCS. We lose Game 1. Luckily we win Game 2. Then we lose Game 3. But we win Game 4, putting up 11 in Houston. Shut them out in Game 5. And then we win Game 6, taking on the Cardinals in the World Series. They just won the World Series last year, as looking good so far. We're up 2-0. Then we lose in St. Louis. Now 3-1. Hopefully we don't choke it. We get shut out 12-0 in Game 5. But luckily we win Game 6, and the Minnesota Twins are your World Series champs, baby. as we actually get to do it in this rebuild. One final look at the lineup. This team was absolutely stacked. Even though we were in debt, our weekly budget was negative $1 million, which is absolutely insane because of player salaries, because I don't know how we have enough money to pay all of these guys, which is absolutely nuts. But looking at the World Series and Playoff MVP, those both went to Eloy Jimenez, who was absolutely great in this rebuild, as he hit 400 in the World Series, 386 in the playoffs. So that'll do it for the rebuild. Hope you all enjoyed. Make sure to vote for the next team we do. Link in the description. And the special thing about this rebuild is we actually got to win a championship with Skaggs. Didn't get to do it in the Angels rebuild, so got to do it now. Make sure to vote. Have a good day.